Well, I think I've done my bit. I've seen myself again and again playing the role of a Nostradamus, the man who saw tomorrow. I bear my minds when I see issues unfolding. I write my columns, 6 columns every week. That was how I wrote this particular one. I titled it The Banana Peel, under the APC's rickety chair on the back page of this day of Saturday. I said so because it is usually very difficult, very rare, to see the Supreme Court having a split decision of 4-3 coming about the same time, all revolving around the issue of extradition, to extradite, to take a person from one country to another. I think we have to quickly look at it, even historically. It didn't just start today. It started from Ramses III in the Bible, when the Treaty of Peace with the Hittite came up in the Bible. You will see it there. And remember that Nigeria has extradition treaty signed with America as far back as 1931 and became operational in 1935. I remember that in the case of Sunday Igboho, there is the extradition treaty between Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, and Republic of Benin of 1984. And don't forget that when America is demanding for Abba Kyari, I had people say, oh, the FBI can now arrest Abba Kyari. No, you cannot do that. FBI, Nigeria is a sovereign country for crying out loud, no matter how down the doldrums we have become. FBI cannot simply come here and pick up Abba Kyari. You must go through the extradition process. And the extradition process is as established or as analyzed or as espoused in the Extradition Act of the laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. And you have to look at sections, especially sections 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 9 of the Extradition Act. And again, let me again quickly say, this is not the first time we're having a case of extradition. In 1963, Chief Anthony Nahoro was being looked for by the federal government of Alhaji Tafawa Balewa. They said he had committed treason or treasonable felony with Chief Obafemi Awolowo and others. Chief Nahoro found his way to London through Ghana. He ran away. So the Labour Party, with their new head, Harold Wilson, made it a big deal with some members of the Tories joining them and using the media very heavily to clamor that Nahoro be not extradited to Nigeria. But the government of Harold Macmillan, who was the minister, was caught in between and in between as to the respect for human rights of Chief Anthony Nahoro and not to hurt Nigeria as a political deal. But at the end of the day, Nahoro was extradited to Nigeria and he was tried and jailed for 15 years. It was the Gowon regime that released him and Chief Obafemi Awolowo and put them in key positions in the government so as to drive the country's progress. So extradition, therefore, did not start today. But in going through extradition, the Attorney General of the country has a crucial role to play under the Extradition Act. He and a magistrate, or under Section 251 of the Constitution, a judge of a federal high court. The country requesting for extradition, like the U.S., must make a formal request through its consular here or its representative here that we want this man back in our country. It must be a formal writing. They must attach a warrant of arrest from their home country, attaching to that request, or if the person had been jailed, a certificate of conviction that such a person they want extradited had already been convicted in their own country. That is why they want him to come and serve his sentence. Then the Attorney General will look at the papers, whether there's enough evidence for that person to be extradited. If he's satisfied, he goes before a magistrate and presents the papers. The magistrate or judge looks at the papers critically to know whether the offense is a felony, it's not a trivial offense, whether it is an extraditable offense, or whether, because under Section 3 of the Extradition Act, if he finds that the offense the person is being accused of is of a political nature, or that the person is being persecuted for his political beliefs or religious belief or because of his race, then he can refuse the extradition. And the matter will die there. Extradition, therefore, is not something that you start today and finish tomorrow. It is labyrinthine. That was why Senator Buruji Kashamu, for more than 6 years, could not be extradited because his lawyers had to go to court to enforce his right. Question: what are those offenses for which extradition can be required? Such offenses are like money laundering, advance fees, fee fraud, treason, serious offenses. But certainly not offenses, for example, like when you are asking for self-determination of your people, which is recognized by Article 1 of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, and also recognized by Article 20 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. And you cannot be extraditing a person, for example, like Sunday Igboho, if he has run to Republic of Benin to seek asylum, which is recognized by Article 12 of the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. So the extraditing, the requesting country must show that the person they are requesting to be extradited is not being requested for on grounds of politics or his belief in religion or his activities as a human rights activist, that it is simply because he has committed a crime. And that crime must also be a crime in the country making that request. So it is not something that is just easy, as easy as that. So the case of Abba Kyari, therefore, falls into the category of extraditable offenses. But the American government cannot use FBI or CIA and come here and pick up anybody. The last time we had that happen, and it can never happen again, not in this modern world, I remember was July 1984, when Alhaji Umaru Diko was created and was about to be brought forcefully into Nigeria. He had been a very vocal critic of the government of then Major General Muhammadu Buhari as head of state, when he and others were being looked for in terms of saying, oh, they committed some financial impropriety during their time. So he ran to London. Although Israel at that time did not have any formal relations with Nigeria, diplomatic relations, the Nigerian government enlisted the help of Mossad to help them look for Alhaji Ibrahim Umaru Diko. And they went to Hyde Park area and started monitoring him. And when they saw him, they captured him, they drugged him, they put him in a crate, like a diplomatic bag. But there was a snag. Section 21 of the Vienna Convention of 1961, saying all diplomatic bags must be carefully labeled and showed as diplomatic bags. So the London's courtyard and others became curious that these diplomatic bags were not so labeled. So they opened them and discovered that Umaru Diko was lying there in a crate, drugged, about to be deported to Nigeria or extradited to Nigeria.
Forcefully. If I may come in here.
So they took him back. That was what saved him. Was that the case of Nnamdi Kanu? How come Nnamdi Kanu, who found his way to Kenya, he was staying in London and other countries? How did they capture him? How did they bring him to Nigeria? The Attorney General did not tell us. He merely said he was intercepted with the cooperation of international people. Who were these people? Was it Interpol? Interpol has no right to just capture a person and carry him to his country by force. For God's sake, the world is not a jungle. It's not the Hobbesian state of nature where life was short, nasty, brutish, and solitary.
Well,
the world is governed by laws. And yes.
Yeah, if I may come in here, we're beginning to run out of time. But two quick things. The first one, if you can be brief about it, and then you spend some time on the second leg. It has to do with what we call the booby trap that lies ahead with regard to the APC congresses. What exactly is that booby trap that you're talking about? That's one. And then quickly, there is Zaki case. Femi Falana SAN, who is the defense counsel in the matter, says that the Kaduna State government, going back to court to file an appeal or to present new charges of treasonable felony, is abusing the judicial process. Do you agree with him? You will recall that last week, Zaki and his wife, leader of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, were both freed following the no-case submission by his defense counsel. Those two issues.
The booby trap is simple. The banana peel. Buni acting in dual capacity as governor of Yobe State, which is executive, and as the chairman, caretaker, and extraordinary convention planning committee of the APC, which is also executive. Both positions being done together are forbidden by Section 183 of the Constitution and Section 17, subsection 4, Article 17, subsection 4 of the APC Constitution. And the Supreme Court, mind you, the majority decision never said, never pronounced that they were right to have done so. They never pronounced that Buni was right, or that Section 183 or Article 17, subsection 4 did not apply. They merely based the judgment mostly on the fact that Buni, the center of the case, ought to have been joined as a party. And not being so joined, it means that Akeredolu must have it. So that is the booby trap. It means that those people who are aggrieved by APC convention, the various conventions or what you call it that were held yesterday, the various primaries or across the country, people can go and challenge them. And actions done as the minority judgment made it clear. He said all actions, all matters authenticated by Buni were null and void, and that they should take the consequences of their action because they have already decided to be guided by Article 17 of their political party, and they must therefore take the consequences that arise, that emanate from their own action. The minority judgment of 3, very lucid, very cerebral, was very clear about this. That is the banana peel. That is what I see as the problem that lies ahead. How they get over it, like we always say, time shall tell. On the issue of Zaki, I totally agree with my brother, friend, Alene brother Sikh, Femi Falana, that Zaki, who has been under torture, under incarceration, since 2015, as soon as this government came on board, he's just being persecuted. When something leaves the realm of prosecution to being persecuted, it becomes abhorrent. Not only illegal and unconstitutional, it also becomes immoral. Zaki, after 6 years since 2015 of brutal, excruciating trial, was finally released or had to be released by the High Court in Kaduna State with his wife just last week. But do you know what? About 2 days before the judgment, the Kaduna State government, apparently knowing or seeing the signs that they had not made out a case against this man, quickly prepared and filed fresh charge against this man and his wife so as to hold them down. You see, what I always tell these people is that they seem to forget that power is ephemeral and that it comes and goes like a bubble. That it is a case of soldiers go, soldiers come, but barracks remain. That they will not be there forever. You cannot keep a man and his wife away for 6 years, and after a competent court of law made them to regain freedom, you again use style, what you call artifice and design and devise craftily like a tortoise to keep them back by slamming on them fresh charge. There must be an end to trial. I expect my friend Femi Falana to go to court. One, to say it's an abuse of court process. It's outright for acquit. It's the doctrine of double jeopardy. Having been acquitted, they cannot be tried for the same offense or offense similar. And if they appeal, they cannot file appeal at the same time simultaneously and be filing plea. Either way, the government will lose out to Zaki. Let my people go. Let my people go. This government should let the poor people, the beleaguered people, the suffering people go. If they cannot be given food and shelter and safety, at least let them be. You cannot beat a person and tell him not to cry again. What has Zaki done? If Justice Kolawole, more than 3 years ago, had granted the ruling, granted these people bail, he said, okay, if you say this man is so dangerous, I hereby grant him bail. Build a small house for him. Let them stay there. Post people to guard the house. What? If Zaki was of the majority Islamic faith, would he suffer that? It's because they see that his own faith is of the minority. Shouldn't Nigerian government get out, look at Section 10 of the Constitution, and get out of religious matters to know that the state shall not be interested in religious matters? Shouldn't they get out of all this Jerusalem pilgrimage, all this Hajj Mecca pilgrimage? What is their business? When we have no schools, when we have no water, when we have no roads, when we have no food to eat, when we have no shelter, when we have no security, when corruption is trotting about like a peacock, when we are the 148 out of 180 most corrupt nation in the world, when we have become the poverty capital of the world, outstripping India, when security is we cannot go on our roads, we cannot drive on the road, we cannot stay in our homes, we cannot walk on the footpaths, Boko Haram, armed bandits, insecurity. What? We have never had this so bad, for God's sake. We have never had this so bad. Judge, let any Christian pick up the Bible, or any Muslim pick up the Holy Quran, or any atheist or idol worshipper pick up the iron, the Ogu worshipper, and say, I am better off today in Nigeria than I was in 2015. I will want the person to challenge me to a television debate, to be televised live, if possible, bring CNN and BBC and all the stations in Nigeria. Let us look at all the indecency from 2015 to now. 2015, when Nigeria was rebased as the biggest economy in Africa, with over $500 billion rebased economy, overtaking South Africa. I want to see the indices that any person can say we are not worse off today than we were in 2015. This government should guide this law. You see this thing on my table? And let me show it. the buck stops here by ex-American President Harry Truman, the president must accept responsibility. If he fails, they will say the Buhari government failed. If he succeeds, it will be said that the Buhari government succeeds. He must accept responsibility, rein in his people, and have a better government. He has less than 2 years. Time is no longer on his side. He has less than 2 years. This is August. He has actually 1 year, just 1 year and about 10 months more. Or about 1 year and 9 months more. Time is running fast. What he does between now and then may still give him opportunity to leave his name in gold. But if he takes us to 2023, in this tattered, this battered, this wobbling, this groggy, this dudley manner that we are in today, I'm sorry.
Very much.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Dr.
God bless
Michael
Nigeria.
Ozekhome, for your time and for joining us on the morning show. Thank you.